How the Northwest was won. Between 10 and 11 p.m. on October the 3rd, internal Trojan shock armies assemble on their muster and assembly points on Chi-Com properties and also on Chi-Com bases and properties across Canada, as well as inside the USA itself as it relates to the Trojan shock army component. Some 1,024,000 men and thousands of vehicles of all varieties split between 670,000 externals coming down from Canada and 354,000 Trojans in the northwestern states prepare to play their role in the largest invasion in the history of war, topping even Operation Barbarossa with its 4 million invaders, as the total invasion forces to capture the USA involved some total 12.5 million troops, split between 5 million Trojans and 7.5 million externals, split between 3.5 million in Mexico and 3.5 million in Canada, and 500,000 total landing forces. 12 a.m., October the 4th, Sino-Russian naval drills off both coasts go live as Chinese and Russian cyber attacks wipe out the grid, telecom, and military networks, simultaneously with their anti-satellite weapons annihilating all USA satellites that have been relentlessly tracked prior to the invasion. Externals cross the borders, north and south, and beachland on the coast, as naval assets lob many multiple salvos of cruise and other missiles at a variety of civilian and military targets, and an entire air armada crosses the borders, north and south. In the northwest, the same was occurring, as 670,000 troops in two prongs, divided by the Rockies, began crossing south after their artillery subunits bombarded ahead of their advance. The Trojans did the same as they rapidly broke out of their assembly points on CCP regime-owned properties. So, on the western prong, what occurred with the externals was they drove rapidly deep inland. Within a matter of hours, the furthest west of the West Prong was going down I-5, destroying a naval air station along the way, rapidly capturing Seattle with the aid of the northernmost units of the 9th Group Army, which was a Trojan force which had originated around Tacoma. And by hour 3, the externals were already getting very close to Tacoma itself, while the Trojan shock forces shifted all energy between the 2nd and 3rd hours to the Joint Base Lewis-McCord to suppress the 1st Corps of the U.S. Army, which is an active duty element. While this was going on, within the very first hours, the 15th the 15th Marine Militia Corps made their landings up and down the Olympic Peninsula and captured this as well as Kitsap Peninsula to clear this area of all possible threats, to guard the flanks for the externals of the far west of the western prong to drive further south, while the Trojans did the same but in the east and of the eastern end of the peninsula here, to make it possible with their logistical points set up ahead of time to accommodate these forces coming down from the western prong, of which there is the 50th Group Army, the 1st Group Army, and the 41st PAP Armored Division. And in the middle of the western prong, there is the 52nd Group Army, the 53rd Group Army, the 3rd Group Army, and then on the easternmost part of the western prong, you had the 17th PAP Light Armored Division and the 43rd Militia Corps. And on the eastern prong, to the east of the Rocky Mountain Divide, you had on the western part of the eastern prong, the 27th PAP Light Armored Division, the 4th Militia Corps, and in the middle you had the 2nd Group Army, 4th Group Army, 51st Group Army, 6th Group Army, and 5th Group Army, which joined the central element. On the very flanks of it to the east, you had the 25th PAP Infantry Division, which was a motorized infantry division, mech infantry, which guarded the flanks on the easternmost part of the southern advance into Montana. Making rapid progress, they all did, as well as the air forces that rapidly flew in and suppressed and dominated the air by wiping out enemy airfields in tandem with the Klub-Ks that had been launching since the second hour of the invasion. Klub-K salvos had begun firing nationwide, hitting strategic and other targets elsewhere, all over the nation, all kinds, civilian and military, as there were thousands upon thousands of these missiles being fired, which are essentially caliber cruise missiles, or the Chinese equivalents that are license built. They began striking everything of strategic value. And the Trojan elements that had electronic warfare units like the 9th Group Army and the 7th Group Army, as well as these Russian units, the 49th Combined Arms Army and the 20th Combined Arms Army, had powerful electronic warfare systems that together created a giant umbrella of jamming throughout the entire Pacific Northwest, which primary purpose was to jam all the emergency communication electronics that, as a redundancy that could have possibly been left, that were not taken out by the massive Sino-Russian cyber attacks, as well as types of communications that were unrelated to the satellites that had all been carefully tracked and destroyed by the anti-satellite weaponry attack. So essentially all emergency equipment was still down and everybody was in the dark. That's not to say that there weren't a few planes in the air that tried to interfere, but they were quickly shot down as they lost control, much like the planes did near the Spratlys when the Chi-Com set up their powerful electronic systems in the Spratlys that caused F-35s to go crazy due to lack of control over the avionics systems involved. So the same electronics were in play and caused the same types of hazards with any U.S. aircraft that just happened to be in the air at the time of midnight when all the communications and everything went down due to the anti-satellite and cyber attacks. I will continue with this map, with this campaign in the next video, before I go into the two sub-battles where I want to basically focus in on how geography plays a huge role in this region, as well as population density and bases